StudyIQ IAS, अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।
Hello, Namaskar, Namaskara, Namaskaram, Namaskar. My name is Pooja Divedi and I welcome you in my class Daily Current Affairs. Before I begin, I would like to ask you, are you drinking enough water? Because the weather is too hot. Eat your fruits and vegetables and please drink lots of water. Specifically, those who are preparing for this examination, it is important for you to stay hydrated. It's too hot, trust me. El Nino year, I have explained all. If you want to watch that, go to the StudyIQ English channel and you will see how El Nino affects the weather across the globe. So El Nino is causing this hot weather to get its claws in. Now, let's begin. Prelims to interview batch is getting launched from 19th of June. I have told you this many times. But now I would want to request to you, please make it faster. If you want to get admission into this batch, prelims to interview. Prelims, mains, interview, everything is prepared here. And this batch will be live batch. We will not give you pen drive classes or recorded classes. We will give you interactive classes from 19th of June onwards. Specifically, if I talk about the English batch, it is completely in English. If you want to take admission in Hindi batch, that is also good. If you want to take admission in English batch, whichever language suits you the best to understand the concept, you can take admission in any one of these. Now, if you want to avail the offer, you can avail it with my code, that is PD Live. Actual cost can range from 60 to 70,000, in which everything is there: study material, mains, residential program, everything. But if you apply this code PD Live, it is at 29,999 only. 19th of June is the date. Please visit the website and do get enrolled in our courses. And I see you in the StudyIQ campus in MRP. Let's move ahead. These are the many topics that we are going to discuss step by step. As I told you, that I bring the fresh of the fresh news from the oven and help you understand how prelims can throw tricky questions at you and you have to handle accordingly. All right. With respect to section 144 of the CRPC, consider the following statements. Okay, so we have to consider the statements with respect to section 144, which has been used time and again in the recent times in Manipur violence, in Uttarakhand, in Uttar Pradesh. So many questions could be asked here. Other than that, you will also become an IAS officer. When you do so, you will become the district magistrate. So what will happen? That you will be asked to take care of the administration over there. This section is needed to be studied by you in depth. So, the internet services can be blocked under this provision. It can be imposed only by the district magistrate on behalf of the state government. It can be passed even ex parte. It can be passed even ex parte. What does ex parte means? That means in order to safeguard the interest of one party or one side, also it can be passed. So, if you know the meaning of such things, then only you will be able to tackle these questions. How many of the statements given above is or are not correct? Because exam nervousness is so much. What do? You take the wrong answer, thinking that which of the statement or how many of the statements given above is or are correct. So please be very mindful when you are reading the sentences. The internet services can be blocked under this provision. That is definitely correct. Under this provision only, the administration blocks the internet if violence is occurring in any place. It can be imposed only by the district magistrate? No. It can also be imposed by a subdivisional magistrate or an executive magistrate on the behalf of the state government. So the keyword here is only, and that renders the second statement to be incorrect. First is correct, second is incorrect. And yes, it can be passed even ex parte. That means in order to safeguard the interest of one party or an interested third party also, it can be imposed. So first is correct, third is correct, second is not correct. We had to select which ones is or are not correct. So that makes second to be the incorrect one, and one statement only will become the correct answer over here. I asked you this question because yesterday only I talked about communal tensions in Uttarakhand on the English channel. If you want to watch it, go there and watch it and clear your head. Section 144 has been imposed in Uttarkashi's Purola, and that is why this question has been asked. And this section gives the powers to a district magistrate, a subdivisional magistrate and an executive magistrate to impose this particular section on behalf of whom? The state government. Alright, not the central government. Tricky question could emerge from here as well. To issue an order to an individual or the general public, it can be issued against an individual as well, not only the general public. So both the people, both the sections, we can say individuals and general public is covered. In a particular place or an area, or to abstain from a certain act, or to take certain order with respect to certain property in his possession or under his management. So under section 144, this particular provision can also take place. Moving ahead, as per this section, the order can be passed only if the magistrate believes that the steps, that means the imposition of section 144 of the CRPC, will prevent obstruction, annoyance or injury to any person lawfully employed, danger to human life, health or safety disturbance, or the public tranquility, or riot or affray. So these are the different criteria. I have in depth taught you about this in my last coverage class, that is Uttarakhand communal tensions. You can visit the English channel if you're watching it on the Hindi channel and see it there. Alright, moving ahead. This order can be passed against a particular individual or a general public. This I have already told you, and this also I have already told you. So the next question goes like the Shah Bano case. Very important question could be made from Uniform Civil Code. The Shah Bano case is most appropriately. Keywords here are most appropriately. Cases can range from and they can intersect many articles, but we have to choose the most appropriate one. Most appropriately related to which of the following articles of the constitutions? Article 42, Article 44, Article 46, Article 50. Shah Bano case is with respect to a Muslim lady, and when she was divorced by her husband, that was a case of inequality. Inequality in the sense there was a discrimination, and personal laws discriminate a lot against the women category or against some other sort of category. So we need a uniform civil code for that in order to take care of the uniformity of laws, uniformity of civil laws in the country. And that is why it is related to Article 44, that is Uniform Civil Code. This is under Directive Principles of State Policy. And recently, the Law Commission of India has asked the general public about suggestions. If UCC is, is this the correct tower to impose UCC or not? Okay. So a Uniform Civil Code will mean a set of common personal laws for all the citizens, like we have right now in our country. Different laws are there for Muslims when it comes to marriage, divorce, inheritance of property. So when there are so many different laws, there is no uniformity, and that creates division and discrimination. And that is why Uniform Civil Code should be imposed in that manner. But we have to see, is our country really ready to accept the Uniform Civil Code? The Uniform Civil Code became a flashpoint in the Indian politics in 1985 in the Shah Bano case. The Uniform Civil Code can be tracing its origin from the Lex Loci report during the colonial times, when the British government tried to have a uniformity of laws in the country. But because they did not want to irk the Muslim, Hindu and other sort of population in the country, they did not touch the laws, the customary laws of them. So the Constitution has a provision for Uniform Civil Code in Article 44, saying the state shall endeavour to secure for the citizens a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. So it is in pursuance of this only that the government time and again talks about Uniform Civil Code, because it is given in the Constitution. It is not anything with respect to political parties and everything. So please abide by the Constitution. Whenever Constitution asks us to do something with respect to DPSP, we have to do everything in pursuance of that. Given that the country is ready for such changes because it is related to social changes, consider the following statements. Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, Buddhists, Jains and Zoroastrians and Jews have been notified as a minority communities under Section 2C of the National Commission for Minorities Act of 1992. And the Bene Israeli numerically forms the largest Jewish group in India. So we are talking about Jews basically over here. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? I guess, yeah, is or are correct. C. Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, Buddhists, Jains and Zoroastrians. They all are a minority under this particular section, Section 2C. But Jews are not. Jews have been notified as a minority community in Maharashtra, which became the first state to do so, and also Gujarat, okay, but not pan-India. And the Bene Israeli, yes, they form the largest, numerically the largest community of Jews in India. So only the second statement is correct. Option B will be the correct answer. A milestone event for Jewish Indian culture as is in Israel as foundation stone laid for the Heritage and Cultural Center for Indian Jews. In Israel, we have Indian Jews. So this is, we have a soft power of diaspora in Israel as well. So where has it been established or where the foundation stone has been laid? It is in Nevatim, which is to the southeast of Beersheba in Negev Desert. Okay, remember that. This is in Negev Desert of Israel. In India, generally, category with respect to India, this is a case sui generis, where we have categories of Jews in India. Did you know that? It's very interesting. See, the origin of Jews in India is highly debated, but we can say it can go back to almost 2000 years, when in 1968, the Kochini Jews, they celebrated bi-millennial anniversary to the community. There are currently 80,000 to 95,000 Jews of Indian descent who are living in Israel, not in India. Of Indian descent. These Jews are of Indian descent and they are living in Israel. How many? 80,000 to 95,000. Jews, as I told you, in India are divided into three categories. Cochin Jews, Bene Israeli and the Baghdadi Jews. Cochin Jews were the first to arrive according to the legend. They arrived in the contemporary state of Kerala, dated back about 50th century CE, Christ era. And as the legend goes, they, because of the demolition of the first temple, they arrived to India in Kerala, and they were warmly received by Cheraman Perumal, who was the ruler of the Chera dynasty. Prelims fact giving you. So this is a legend, but still a prelims question could be formulated from here. Bene Israeli numerically form the largest community in India. They are the largest in numbers and they generally belong to Maharashtra and Konkan region. They, according to legend, go back to 1600, as in they arrived from the year 1600 to 1800 years. They are known to have originated from the northern part of Israel. This is according to the legend. And the Baghdadi Jews are the most recent Jews to come into India. And they're very rich. They, when they came to British India, in 19th century, they had a good standing, financial standing through business in ports such as Calcutta, now Kolkata, Bombay, now Mumbai, Rangoon, back then Yangon. Okay. So remember that it is important for us to know about the history of such things, such events. Then only we can write a good mains answer as well and prelims as well. Mithun Sankranti is a festival which is mainly observed in Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh. So it is actually Odisha. We call it Raja Parba. Recently, Draupadi Murmu, the president, the honorable president Srimati Draupadi Murmu, has given good wishes to Odisha on the occasion of Raja Parba. So let's talk about that. It has great significance among Hindus, this particular Parba, and it is one of the most popular festival which is celebrated in Odisha. They celebrate it with huge grandeur. And Raja Parba is also known as Mithun Sankranti. Remember that. Raja Parba is also known as Mithun Sankranti. It is a 3-day long festival which is celebrated by the people of Odisha. First day is known as Raja Parba. The second day is known as Raja Sankranti, first day. The second is known as Mithun Sankranti. Third is called Budaha or Basi Raja. Alright. And they, during this period, honor the Mother Earth and womanhood. They believe that in the month of June only, Mother Earth started menstruating, and the significance of woman, only a woman can give a birth to another human being. That means a woman has so much power to sustain a life in herself. That is why they celebrate this particular day, to celebrate womanhood. Alright, and it will start from June 14th. Yesterday it started and it will conclude tomorrow. It is celebrated to worship the Mother Earth. People, it's a harvest festival as well. Alright, moving ahead to the next question. With respect to Alzheimer's, consider the following statements. During the early stages of Alzheimer's, unusual protein buildup in the brain occurs. Memory problems are typically one of the first signs of cognitive impairment, and there is currently no medication for Alzheimer's. How many statements given above is or are correct? Yes, during the early stages, it has been observed, then that abnormal protein buildup gets its place in the brain, and that causes a lot of problem. And first is definitely correct because of that. The first, because the initial stages can differ from people to people, but the most common one is memory loss. Memory problems become the first sign. And there is currently no cure for Alzheimer's. In mental illness, generally, because brain is the least understood part of the body. That is why in mental illness cases, we do not see good medication, good cures. We just have medications to manage them. And with age, mental illness becomes, more and more profound and severe. And that is the reason why, we need to understand more about this, because in mental illness, it is generally very difficult to deal with people. How? We forget that people are behaving in such a way, if it's their character or if it's a mental illness. So that is the problem. If anybody is going through any sort of mental illness, please do visit a doctor. Even if you're in depression, do visit a doctor. It's not a stigma. Everybody goes through that. If our body can become sick, our brains can also become sick. Everyone in their life do go through this particular problem. All right, so do not be worried. First, second and third, all three are actually correct. So 3 statements only will be the correct answer. Why have I asked you this question? Because IISc researchers have designed fluorogenic probe to detect the enzyme which is linked to early stages of Alzheimer's. How an enzyme is responsible? IISc is doing that. Alzheimer's disease is named after Dr. Alois Alzheimer when he was studying a woman's brain who died of a pretty interesting or curious mental illness. He saw that there were certain protein buildup. These protein buildups are known as amyloid plaques. Okay, and the tangles also get buildup of fiber, and this is known as tau tangles or neurofibrillary. The first stages include memory loss, language problem, and unpredictable behavior as well, because the neurons are not connected to each other. During the very early stage, toxic changes start to take place, such as abnormal buildup of proteins. Previously healthy neurons that used to function, those stop functioning because of that. Then they lose connection and then they die. Many other complex brain activities also occur. Damage initially appears in which parts of the brain? Hippocampus and entorhinal cortex. These two are important to form memories. That is why Alzheimer's renders people memoryless. With respect to the West Nile virus, consider the following statements. It was for the first time detected in Uganda. It can be passed from a mother to her baby during pregnancy. In less than 1% of the cases, it causes a sometimes life-threatening infection. So, how many statements given above is or are correct? Yes. In 1937, it was for the first time observed by the scientists in the West Nile region of Uganda. And in rare cases, yes, it can be passed from a mother to her baby during the pregnancy period. That is also correct. And yes, very few people die of it. It generally doesn't contract easily, but when it does, there is a less likely probability that one is going to die and they get really sick. Okay, so 1, 2 and 3 all are correct. 3 statements only will be the correct answer. Now, health department is yet to confirm West Nile fever in Ernakulam, but in many cases, in many regions of the world, West Nile virus is increasing. That is why this question has been asked. I have already told you this about the first statement. Now, only 1 in 5 people who contract this virus, they have symptoms. Mosquitoes bite us all the time, right? Even infected ones may do. But less people contract West Nile virus. In less than 1% of the cases, West Nile virus causes sometimes life-threatening infection that can make people very sick. Mosquitoes usually are the carriers of this disease and they get it from biting an infected bird. If they can bite a human being if they do bite a human being with this particular infection or any other animal, this infection can get contracted. Okay, and they transmit the virus through their saliva. And in very few cases, the West Nile virus can spread from mother to her baby during pregnancy or even breastfeeding, in blood transfusion, during organ transplant surgery. And you have to remember that right now there is no medication or therapy that can get rid you of West Nile virus, although it can be managed. People get very well on their own. The World Elder Abuse Awareness Day for the first time was celebrated in which of the following years? 2001, 2004, 2006, 2011. It was actually in the year 2006 when it was celebrated. Now, today is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day because these are vulnerable, the elders are vulnerable to the daily abuse actually, even in India. So, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day is observed on June 15th every year. It was first established by the United Nations General Assembly in 2011. I will make you understand what is the difference between establishment and celebration. To raise awareness about the abuse experienced by older adults. Okay. So, although it was established in 2011, but this day was started to be celebrated by the International Network for Prevention of Elderly Abuse in 2006. Such a good tricky question can be formulated from here. UPSC now does not want us to do the superficial reading, bullet points in the books that we get, the current affairs books. No, proper reading it wants. It does not want children or aspirants who are just doing 2 months of preparation and cracking the prelims. If you're not giving respect to this examination won't respect you. This is the blunt truth I'm telling you. So that is why I'm here to help you. Moving ahead. Now, if we talk about that, what is the definition of elder abuse? It is defined by the UN as a single or repeated act or lack of appropriate action occurring within any relationship where there is an expectation of trust which causes harm or distress to any older person. It could be either single or a repeated act which harms the trust that you have with that elder person. And it could be also lack of appropriate action. If an elderly is feverish, you are not getting them treated, that is also lack of appropriate action. This is abuse. Okay, remember that. So, in 2011, the United Nations established it as a day that could be celebrated all across the world. This is the difference. It was started in 2006 but designated as a world one in 2011. Okay. So the theme for 2023 is for this Abuse Day, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, is closing the circle, addressing gender-based violence in older age. That means the violence can even take place in elderly women even more than the men. This is what the theme wants to say. Policy, law and evidence-based responses. Alright. Now, if you want the PDF of this particular class, you can contact me on my Telegram channel. That is Pooja Dwivedi StudyIQ UPSC. And I will also talk to you if you want to have any questions answered on my Instagram. I definitely will reply. Okay. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching.
StudyIQ IAS. अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।